Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to the Much Laughter Blue Badge Comedy Night with me, Aaron Simmons. I'm going to be hosting tonight. We've never done one of these before. It could go brilliantly or it could go terribly. Let's find out together. So my job here is to sort of MC the night and make sure that you guys are all good and having a good time. But it's kind of difficult to do that when I can't see or hear any of you. So what I've decided is that we're going to make it a little bit less like, well, I mean, one of the things that an MC is supposed to do is sort of make you feel comfortable and make you feel like you're not going to get picked on and everyone's going to have a lovely time. Now, seeing as you're in your house, you probably should be quite comfortable. We can't see or hear you, so we can't pick on you. Apart from you, you have dressed terribly for this. Come on, wearing that shirt at the front row of a comedy club. What are you doing? Anyway, that's the kind of banter we can't have. Yeah, I mean, we're just going to see if we can have a good time whilst doing this. So what I'm really interested in is the fact that I can't have a normal conversation with any of you. Means that it's sort of the, hey, how you doing, who you come with, all that kind of chat can't really happen. But what we have got is we've got a comment section. So what I want from you guys is I'm going to ask you some questions right now, and I want you to type your responses, and it'll be a little bit more like a radio text in, but you don't have to spend 50p plus your standard network rate. So my question for you is based on the fact that I might have to get a job soon because, you know, COVID. So I'm terrible with jobs, and I'm not good, and that's the reason why I'm a comedian. So I want to know one of two things from each and every one of you. What is the silliest thing that you've ever been fired from a job for? And what is the most ridiculous thing you have done whilst in a job and not getting fired from for doing it? Okay, I'll give you an example from the second version. When I was in my old job, I used to be a personal trainer. I was almost fired for saying that my boss had a shit haircut. Oh, by the way, there is going to be swearing in this show, so if you're not okay with that, grow up. Swearing's great. So I said my boss had a shit haircut, and the reason why I did it is I was in the gym. I was on the gym floor, and a member came up to me and said, "Hey, is there going to be a class today?" And I didn't know, so I went, "You have to go speak to the manager." And she said, "What's he look like?" And I said, "He's wearing a white vest and he's got a shit haircut." And she found him in a gym with over 7,000 members and probably about 500 people in the gym at the time. She found him within 30 seconds. Therefore, adequate description. I didn't get fired for that. I got very close. I got a formal warning for that. And if I ever said that my boss had a shit haircut again, I would have been fired. But luckily, I didn't. He didn't hear me describing him as a fictional character on steroids, because then I would have been fired. But I managed to survive that role, and I managed to outlast him. And then a new manager came in, and I thought it would be fun to rugby tackle him. Turns out it really was. It was super fun. Like, he was just, I don't know what it was about him, but he was perfect for rugby tackling. Like, solidly built, but not like absolute brick shit house. So it was like painful to rugby tackle him. So I rugby tackled him, and he was the assistant manager of the gym. And then the manager brought me into the main office and sat me down. I mean, I was already sitting down. I'm in a wheelchair, but she sat me down and she said, "Aaron, we need to talk about this rugby tackling of Nate." And I went, "Oh, okay. What is it?" And she's like, "I don't mind you doing it, but it just can't be in front of the members." That was it. That was my entire punishment for rugby tackling my boss, was to be told to just do it in private. So those are the kind of stories that I want from you guys. What we're going to do is we've got two great acts for you tonight. And in between both of those acts, I'm going to hopefully chat to some of you about some of your stories. If you've got any stories about that kind of stuff, and if you're not, just say hi. Tell me what you're thinking. I am aware that this is sort of a disability themed comedy evening, and I haven't really mentioned being in a wheelchair yet. And that's because I want to try and avoid being a stereotype, if that's at all possible. Having said that, I am a white man in front of a blue background in a wheelchair. So I'm basically the guy off the toilets. I mean, if it makes it better, I'll do this. Does this, everyone recognize me now? Is that good? Okay, cool. We can move on from that. This is very weird for me. I'm not used to people not laughing. And then someone has just sneezed backstage. Great. Hello, Fiona. I'm going to read your comment in between our first two acts, but I'm going to get our first act on because I'm so very excited to see what she can do. I've seen what she can do. I mean, I've gigged with her before. She's great. Last time I introduced her with the wrong name because we're such good friends. But I'm not going to do that tonight. Oh, here's another thing. Obviously, when an MC brings on an act, you're supposed to clap and cheer and stamp your feet and all that kind of stuff. Now, obviously, we can't do that because we can't hear you stamping or clapping or cheering. So what I want you guys to do, in a second, I'm going to introduce our first act. And I want you to bash on your keyboard any kind of random numbers and just hit enter as I introduce this act to the stage. I was going to ask if that's okay. I've got no way of knowing if it's okay or not, but we're going to find out. Okay, so after three, I'm going to introduce you to the first act. And I want you to go absolutely crazy, smash the shit out of your keyboards, and please welcome to the stage the wonderful Joe Coffey.
Doing that weird Ouija writing? No, it's okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me on. Much appreciated. I thought, because we're in a casual setting and we're on the internet, so there's a strong possibility that I could get sued off the back of this next story. I thought I would just tell you a story that I'm thinking of. I'm trying to get it into jokes, basically. So please use. Oh, hello, Nikki. Thank you. I was feeling a bit lonely up there. So literally, oh, she's like a port in a storm. That one. Yes, I was hoping I could use this story about when I got sacked from a job, and you can see, or I can see, even, or anyone on YouTube can see if there's anything funny in it. So the first two things to know about this story is basically number one, I'm 4'2". Hello, Paul. Thanks for that. I'm 4'2". You can't see this because I'm sat down, and I'm not going to go across my room and stand in front of my door so you can see how far my head comes up to the door handle, because we ain't got time. I've only got 5 minutes. So, but you're just going to have to trust me. And the other part to this story is that when I start doing a weird voice when I'm talking about my boyfriend, it's because he's like ridiculously posh, like stupidly posh. Like he's so posh, he sounds like he's basically swallowed like a 1940s World War II like pilot. He's like, oh, hello, coffee, and like talk to me like that. And like when we go for Christmas dinner, basically I'm from Birmingham, and he's like, oh, can you pass the cranberry, please? And my mum's like, what's he said? What's he saying? What's he said? What is this? Like, so that's basically why I'm putting on that accent. So the story is, I am a Pokemon. I might not look like one, but I am actually quite a famous Pokemon in the range of Pokemons. And how this came about was about 3 years ago. I'm also a television producer, and I was very slow on work. And someone told me that I might be able to make some money as a short person, just being a short person and standing in the back of shoots for short person. And so I became a child stand-in on films, basically standing in for children who aren't legally allowed to be on set all day, but because I'm of an age and the same height as them, I can be on set. So that's how I started off. So I do quite a few big films, and like one of those films, it may or may not have come out and be absolute box office smash, but I can tell you now, that child, when she saw that I was actually her stand-in when she walked on set, the disappointment in that child's eyes, and something that I never want to see in another another child ever again. The poor thing. She looks so upset. Anyway, we moved on from then, and I spoke to my agent at the time, a lovely lady, and she said, "Oh, well, there's some audition. I don't know if it's really you, because basically she knows I'm not very athletic. I like a sit down." And she said, I don't know if it's very you, but Pokemon are here, and they're trying out for Detective Pikachu, their new film. And like, you know, I actually haven't got a clue what she's talking about. I don't do Pokemon. I don't know what it's about. I have no interest in it. But like, I'm really, really skint. So I'm like, yeah, I want to be a Pokemon. I so want to be a Pokemon. Like, oh my God, I don't think any points about the athletics of this situation. So the first stage of this thing was going to a workshop where lots of little people were asked to go and act like Pokemon. If you've ever taken acid, like no, I'm sure people might have seen that in their hallucinations. As we were asked to do also, it's like come across the floor like you're a duck. And like that, I think that might have been the big money one. I'm not sure, but that might have been the big money one. Come across the floor as the duck. Congratulations to whoever who got that. And then come across the floor. Could you get on the floor and then jump up from the floor? So obviously I couldn't do any of these things. Like I'm really unathletic. Like I can barely change duvet cover. I have trouble walking from here to there. So I was like trying to be really style it out and be like, oh, I just stand at the side when everyone was being really athletic. So instead they started filming my face. And they spent ages on my face. Like the guy from America, and there was a guy from Japan, and the guy from America was like, Joanne, can I just get a little bit close up on your lips there? And Joanne, you've got the most amazing eyes. Can I get a little bit of close up? Like, my name's not Joanne. Like, I was too polite to tell him. So I just let him film my eyes, my lips and stuff. And so that night, I went back to my boyfriend's house, and I said, I was like, oh, Linus, like, I'm going to be a Pokemon. I mean, how'd you break that to your other half? Number one, how'd you bring that up? He kind of took it quite well. He was like, okay, bumbling, I don't really listen to you anyway. Okay, fine. I was like, one, I'm going to be a Pokemon. And he was like, oh, really? Well, how's that going to work out? And I was like, well, I think I'm going to be the really pretty Pokemon because, like, they were really focusing on my eyes. And, like, they kept saying, oh, my God, you've got the most amazing eyes and your lips are so beautiful. And I was like, oh, my God, I'm going to be I've seen the one that I think I am, and it's got really big lips and, like, massive eyelashes. And like it's the pretty petite one. So then like I got the part and then went down to film it in November, and they made me dress up in this Lurex like kind of all-in-one bodysuit like that was purple. So basically with my chunkiness, I looked like a blooming Quality Street. So I go up to the thing, and already they've got my back up. I ain't gonna lie, I'm not enjoying being a Pokemon. It's mid-November, it's freezing. The city of London has been shut down, so I can walk up and down the street being a cartoon character. But as I said, I'm skint. So as I walk past the desk, like the CGI desk, there's loads of this going on, and I'm like, oh, do you mind if I, because I work in production, so I feel like I can take the mickey a little bit. I'm like, well, do you mind if I have a look at my Pokemon? Do you mind if I have a look? Oh, which one am I? Like, expecting the beautiful. There I am, yeah, a massive, big purple fist like this, yeah, and the big lips are in the center of my stomach, and I've got these eyes on the side of my head that sort of buggle up like this, and I'm called Lardon after a piece of bacon. So basically, I'm horrified, absolutely horrified. And the thing hasn't even started yet. So we go into this whole thing, and it turns out I'm not a very good Pokemon, really. So the guy's trying to get me to walk up and down the road all the time. He's like, man, can we do this again? Joe, can you take that again, please? Can you walk towards me again? And I went, oh, yeah, but kind of knew my character anyway, but was trying to hide it from everyone else. I was like, yeah, but how do you want me to walk? And he was like, oh, like a... He'd given me a theme tune. He'd given me a tuba-based theme tune as a fat Pokemon. So the two upshots of this story, because I do believe I waffled on for about 3, actually. The two upshots are, one, I never, ever told my boyfriend that I wasn't the beautiful Pokemon. Number 2, I went to a park recently with my nephew, and he was playing Pokemon. I went, oh, can you look at my Pokemon? And he went, and I went, oh, is that my Pokemon? I went, am I good? Do I get a lot of points then? He went, no, his exact words, no, you're not the worst one, but you're a bit low rent. Okay, brilliant. And number 3, Thank God for a pandemic, because my life was awful before then. So I'd just like to point out that at this point, as the end of the story goes, that I am a stand-up comic and I do have jokes. Just maybe not in this instance. Thank you very much for listening to my whittering when I got sacked, by the way, because I couldn't jump off a wall. That was also a big part of the story. Thanks for having me. Good night.
Thank you very much, Joe. I mean, so we had lots of clapping from Paul and Nikki. Did you get to meet Ryan Reynolds, or did you get sacked before you got to meet Ryan?
I got sacked before, because basically there was like a big pot of money to be the chief Pokemon, which I think was the duck. Yeah, I don't know, but I think
electric mouse, but sure.
And if it was the duck and it was the guy that I think got it, he turned up late, and he's from Birmingham. Big kudos to him, I say. Waltzed into an audition an hour late and bagged the biggest job.
I mean, who doesn't want to be?
If you're a duck, you're a duck.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much, Joe. Yeah, no, it's been great. There's a comment here from Fiona. I don't know how to maximize that. Yeah. So she was given a final warning for eating pineapple. I want to know, was it pineapple chunks? Was it pineapple slices? Did you bring a whole pineapple into work? This is sort of, there's a lot more questions than answers at this point. The second thing is slightly more horrific. Yeah, you should really. I mean, we're okay to swear. We've got an 18+ thing, but not ideal to 7-year-olds. I think I'd heard the word fuck by 7, actually. I remember the first time I ever heard a swear word was my dad. He was on the phone and he said I couldn't give a shit. And from that moment, if he asked me any question, I would reply, I couldn't give a shit. And my dad is so sort of chill about the whole thing. He didn't even react. So it only took me like 2 weeks to get bored, which is terrific parenting, which is completely at odds to this next story, because his parenting in this story isn't ideal. So this story takes place in 2012, because I'm very topical. I went to the Paralympics, right? Because I was it was a tin of pineapple. Apparently they would have made the desk sticky. Well, there you go. I mean, if you can eat pineapple accurately, then I think you deserve to keep your job. If you can't eat pineapple accurately, then I'm slightly more on your boss's side. But I trust in your ability to eat pineapple, Fiona, and I will. That is on the record. You have my belief in your ability to eat pineapple. You're welcome. So 2012, right? Paralympics. Super excited about the Paralympics, and I realized I've only got 2 minutes to tell the story. I can do it, right? I love Paralympics. Me and my brother got tickets for absolutely everything. There was a lot of wheelchair plus carer tickets, and so what we would do is we'd go in, and everyone looked after us. It was great. And the thing we were most looking forward to was the goalball final. Now, if you don't know what goalball is, it is the greatest sport in the world. Okay, I can prove it, right? I know that's a bold claim. Imagine dodgeball, but with blind people. Greatest sport ever, right? Objective of the sport is to get hit by the rubber balls. It's the fucking best, right? And so I was super excited to go, but on the Thursday before the event, which was on the Friday, I got the flu, right? I knew I couldn't make it. So my brother then had a decision to make. He had to, he tried to find somebody to replace me in order to go without me. And then he thought about going by himself, but obviously he can't go because he's got the carer plus wheelchair ticket, and you can't really be the carer without the wheelchair. So what my brother did is very selflessly, he gave his ticket away to my dad. He then took my ticket and my wheelchair and scooted off to East London, right? And so my brother was so calm about the whole situation, considering, you know, he was going to commit fraud. But my dad was incredibly nervous. He was like, oh my God, we're going to get caught. We need to be as inconspicuous as possible. We just need to fly under the radar, right? My brother was like, it's fine, no problem. We know exactly what's going to happen. We're going to get to Stratford Station, they're going to let us run the queue, and we're going to go in, and no one's going to suspect us then, right? And to be fair to my brother, up until Stratford Station, he absolutely nailed it, right? They got to Stratford Station, no problem at all. But this is where the story starts to go downhill, both metaphorically and literally. Because it starts to go downhill outside Stratford Station, and my brother loses control of my wheelchair and falls out of the chair in front of the queue of 100 people. And they naturally come running over to this guy, trying to help him back into his wheelchair. And my brother, not thinking, just jumps out of the chair and goes, no, I'm absolutely fine, get back in the queue. Because I don't think my brother knows what the term inconspicuous means. And he's like, no, I'm absolutely fine, it's no problem. But my dad sees this. He comes and he's running up to my brother and clips him around the ear and says, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Get back in the chair now. Which is fine for you guys to hear about because you guys know that my brother is able-bodied. But to the people in the queue, it looks like that my middle-aged man has just come running up to his disabled son, hit him because he had the audacity to create a miracle. But this miracle is an inconvenient time because he wants to go see some blind people get hit by rubber balls. And that is the two sides of my dad's parenting styles. I managed to get through it in 3.5 minutes, which, considering it's sort of a 10-minute story, is pretty good going. But now we are time for our headline act. It's very exciting. Again, I want you to smash on your keyboards like you did with Joe. He needs no introduction. I mean, for several reasons, he's been all over the posters. Secondly, he's the reason why we're all here. And thirdly, his name is at the bottom of the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, bash on your keyboards for me now as we welcome to the stage the wonderful Lost Voice Guy.
My closest friends when I was younger. Let me tell you, you get asked some really strange questions when you are disabled, though. One of the questions I get asked most often is, what is it like living with cerebral palsy? To be honest, it's a right pain in the ass. Recently, I was asked what sort of cerebral palsy I had. I wasn't even aware that there was different brands of it. I have definitely not got any designer brand of cerebral palsy. I think I picked mine up from Primark. Whenever I'm asked what sort of cerebral palsy I had, I always want to say I've got the bad kind. I don't know what they expect me to say. Next, they will be asking me to rate my cerebral palsy on a scale from 1 to 10. 10 being really bad, and 1 being a benefit cheat, appearing on the Jeremy Kyle show. When people find out more about my disability, they start to tell me how sorry they are. Everyone is so sorry all the time. Sorry to hear I can't talk. Sorry about my walk. Sorry I will never make it onto Strictly Come Dancing. But I say, screw them. Don't feel sorry for me. I've already told you that I'm a complete bastard. I'm the sort of guy who presses every button in the lift when I'm getting out of it. I'm the kind of guy who makes people move out of the disabled space on a train, even when the whole carriage is empty. I'm that person who gets up to do karaoke and then pretends the microphone is broken when no sound comes out of my mouth. One of the worst things about my disability is having my hair cut. I really don't like getting it done. Everything about the process is just so awkward. The main reason why I don't like it is because once the cloak is on and my hands are trapped, I can't speak at all. In fact, I didn't even want this haircut. However, there was no way of asking them to stop once it had started. But I still had to nod and smile and pay £30 for the privilege. Also, the banter with my hairdresser is very one-sided indeed. Needless to say, she still doesn't know where I'm going on holiday this year. I also don't like the fact that you have to spend half an hour looking at yourself in the mirror. I'm very self-conscious, so I don't like looking in the mirror at the best of times. I really wish I was some sort of disabled vampire, so that I didn't have to see my reflection. But I'd make a pretty shit vampire, I reckon. I mean, I'm not very good at biting, so that would be my first problem. I would have to have a special helper vampire who could drain the blood from the victim for me to drink. They would also have to chop up the flesh into small, manageable pieces for me to eat. Or put it all in some sort of Tupperware container for later. This brings me to my second problem. Vampires tend to like to move about at night. I have enough trouble walking in the daytime without tripping over. I'd have no chance at night. I'd just end up falling over, cutting my head open, and I'd just have to hope some of the blood pours into my mouth. Vampires are tough with fast reflexes as well. In case you hadn't noticed, those aren't exactly my strong points. In fact, my reflexes are shit. I'm forever getting asked by taxi drivers if I am as clever as Stephen Hawking too. I'm clearly not as clever as him, or I wouldn't be in this generic town or city talking a load of crap. I can do a great Stephen Hawking impression though. I'll show you. Hello, I am Stephen Hawking, and the universe is bloody massive and that. In fact, the closest I have ever come to being Hawking is when I went to see The Theory of Everything at the cinema. It's the movie about Stephen Hawking and his life. I didn't go to watch it though. I just went so that I could sit at the back, say random sentences on my iPad, and mess with the rest of the audience. So, Hawking would say something on screen, and then I would speak up at the back and explain that I didn't say that at all, and that the movie was putting words into my machine. One guy in front of me seemed to be really impressed that it was being shown in surround sound. Then, at other times, I would type what I thought he was going to say just before he said it. This was especially fun when he was talking to his wife, and I kept saying, "I slept with your sister." But I do love pretending to be the professor when I'm on the telephone. Like when I phoned up Curry's, pretending to be Hawking, and tried to tell them that I had just had sex. Then I told them that I had caught a sexually transmitted disease. And then I asked if they had any antivirus software to fix it. Another question that I get asked quite often is, have I ever tried to talk just to see what would happen? As if I had just been lazy all of my life, and therefore just couldn't be bothered to talk. Like like I was only putting it on to take advantage and jump the queues at Disney World. But, in case you are wondering, no, I haven't tried to talk before. Mainly because I know nothing would happen. I'm not going to suddenly open my mouth and hear Brian Blessed's voice booming out. Besides, I've built a career out of not being able to speak now. I don't think I should be encouraging my voice to magically reappear too much. The found voice guy just doesn't have the same ring to it. I do actually talk in my sleep, though. I know I do because I always wake up with random sentences typed out on my iPad. Admittedly, this job would be so much easier if I could talk. Because apparently it's very important to get your tone of voice right when doing comedy. So that means I'm completely screwed. For example, this is what I sound like when I'm excited. And this is what I sound like when I'm miserable. And this is what I sound like when I'm happy. And this is what I sound like when I'm bored.
In fact, the only time I sound any different is on Friday nights when I pretend to be a woman.
I often get asked if I am out with my carer as well. I really wish people would stop thinking that the people I am out with must be my carers. Because obviously disabled people couldn't just be out with friends. That would just be stupid. Just to put the record straight, I have always been very social and have a lot of mates. I had some great friends at school. I think it's rather different when you attend a school for disabled people compared to a mainstream school. In mainstream schools, it is the fittest and most attractive children who are most popular. But it wasn't like that for me. At my school, you were judged on how bad your disability was. If there wasn't that much wrong with you, then you were bullied for being too normal. And let me tell you, you don't want to be on the receiving end of an electric wheelchair. Like most good friends, we got up to our fair share of mischief when we were together. Such as the time I borrowed my friend's wheelchair and stood outside a church, trying to sell it because a miracle had happened and I had been healed. Or when I went to the zoo with my mate who had only one leg, went into the lion enclosure and asked him to point out which one of the lions had took the other leg in front of loads of children. And we used to love sending my blind friend really erotic letters from a pretend girlfriend because we knew his mother would have to read them to him. I do have to set a few things straight before I have to leave you. I hate that we have so many politically correct words to describe disabled people now. When I went to school, I honestly went to a school with spastics in its name. They certainly knew how to make us feel good about ourselves. Now it's all special needs, special schools, Special Olympics. I don't know what the fuck is so special about me. That is why it always alarms me when I hear about special forces going to war. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been the Lost Voice Guy. If you find my voice, please contact me as soon as possible on my social media. You've been a fantastic audience. Even if you haven't, I can't really change what I say at this point. I hope you have had fun laughing at a disabled man. Enjoy the rest of your night. Goodbye.
Ah, brilliant stuff, Lee. I mean, Lost Voice guy. We know each other outside of comedy as well. Thank you very much, guys. This has been an absolute treat. We just got to really wrap up. I don't know what Fiona was trying to say. I imagine there's some kind of emojis going on there. Nikki's got half her emojis in there and half haven't. I mean, I don't know where we download the second emoji keyboard, but I'm sure we'll figure that out for next month. We are going to be doing this again next month if you guys want it. Keep bugging Sharon about it. I personally would love to have Sharon on the actual call just because she laughs more than anybody else I've met in comedy circuit. So she'll be our one audience member if people bug her. I mean, she's had an operation this week, so we'll let her off this month. But next month, hopefully she'll be on the call. Yeah, this will be great. I think we're going to be doing it in the equivalent Thursday of next month. So I'm just gonna throw a date out, and if Sharon can't do that, tough shit. The 19th of November. Let's go for that. Oh, I've actually got a note in my phone that says I'm going to be emceeing Blue Badge Comedy for Sharon Jackson the following week. That's how long this thing has been in planning. It was over a year ago that we put that in. I remember because I said I can't do that date because I thought she meant 2019 and she meant 2020. And then there was a global pandemic. Oh, hilarious. Remember when you could go outside? Oh, what fun. Anyway, thank you to my wonderful guests. Let's give it up for Joe Coffey one more time by bashing your keyboards, and for Lost Voice Guy. And thank you very much to Holly, our wonderful signer, who's done it brilliantly today. Sharon's still trying to get the Fiona comment to work. It doesn't. We don't have the emoji keys. But this has been a lot of fun. We'll see you next month for the Blue Badge Much Laughter Comedy gig. I've been Aaron Simmons. I'll see you next month. Bye-bye. How long do we have to wait for, Sharon?